Hey there, and welcome back to Start Adventuring, a channel dedicated to empowering new roleplayers to break down their barriers and just start adventuring. I'm Baxter.
And I'm Ben. And this is the 7th adventure in our Candlekeep Mysteries one-on-one shots campaign. We're learning about running D&D one-on-one, adapting modules to your own style as a DM, and also running one-shots that are 2 hours or less. So there's a lot to focus on and learn as we're doing these sessions, and we're hoping you're learning as you're watching them too. Thanks for tuning into this video, and if you're a returning person, go ahead and like this video now and subscribe if you haven't already. It does a great deal to help us get our footing here on YouTube, and it makes our day when we see those notifications.
Yeah, totally it does. But I'm really excited. So what's today's adventure called? Book of Cylinders?
Yes, this is the Book of Cylinders, at least my adaptation of it for this context. So I hope you enjoy, and let's jump into it. So, the adventure begins on a mist-covered sea. We see a majestic ship, the Dog's Ear, cresting a wave, traveling northward along the coast from Candlekeep, and silhouetted against the sunrise, there's a figure standing on the bow. We approach, the camera zooms into this figure, and Baxter, describe for everyone the character that we see.
Oh, it is a medium-sized gentleman with long, looks like it's orangish colored, ginger-colored hair, but it looks like it's been dyed, because you can see, like, gray kind of coming in at the roots, kind of with a chin-strapped beard, with a couple braids hanging off of that, with a white sort of jacket with red accents on it, and then gold metal kind of reinforcements on his boots and gloves, and of course his gleaming golden chicken gun.
Yes, and his name
is Bosun BokBok.
You can imagine whatever orchestral theme music swelling that you like for Bosun BokBok as he stands on the bow of the ship. You are looking out over the landscape. This is a region north of Candlekeep. It's covered in marshland. You see kind of reeds sticking out along the coast, and the buzz of mosquitoes and dragonflies is kind of faint underneath the waves crashing. You guys are a little ways from the shoreline. But you have been sent with an associate of yours, a business associate, Mitor Jans, who is a half-orc sailor and scholar who for many years has transported seafood from the Gripply frogfolk of the north down to Candlekeep. Mitor contacted you because of your illustrious reputation as a seafarer to go along on an adventure to help these Gripply because something has gone wrong with the shipments of crab meat. And not only that, people are not even hearing from the Gripply the same way anymore. So Mitor Jans has been sent by the Avowed and recruited you for this job. You are now sailing northward toward the trading post where the Gripply generally congregate in hopes that you will be able to provide some kind of assistance to them. I don't know if you, Bosun BokBok, have been doing anything on the voyage so far, or what you might be feeling about those circumstances.
Well, I think Bosun BokBok is going to be cooking in the kitchen, whatever kind of food there is to cook. If there's chicken, he's cooking the chicken. If it's not chicken, he's just cooking something for the crew while he thinks over. So let me ask the DM some clarifying questions on what I would know. So
yeah,
you
totally.
said that we haven't heard from the, I'm sorry, what is the name of the frog people?
The Gripply. They're frog folk.
Mm-hmm. In what capacity are we used to hearing from the Gripply that we are no longer hearing from them?
Yeah, so Candlekeep has had this relationship with the Gripply tribe up this way for a long time. And it seems it's just been in the last 2 weeks that communication has been less frequent from them, and Mitor Jans is being sent up on his usual sort of supply run, but it's sort of doubling at this point as a recon situation because there's concern over the Gripply's lack of communication by, general sort of post.
Okay. All right. Well, I think Bosun BokBok is mostly just excited to offer what help he can. I think that maybe a little questioning the severity of it. I don't think he has completely he doesn't completely understand what's going on, but I think he's kind of okay with that, or I don't think he truly thinks about that.
Yeah, he's
so
ready
much.
for action. He'll see what it is when he gets there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the journey up has been pretty nice. The crew on the ship is very nice. They're very pleased with your cooking. They've told you that it's not the same as their usual sort of rations that they get from Candlekeep. They're not used to having a cook on board.
That's right.
And Miter Jans has been a nice companion for the couple of days that you guys have been sailing up. He is friendly with you. You talk about shared passions. He is a scholar of marine life. He even wrote several treatises on fish anatomy that are pretty well received in Candlekeep. So he's a nice guy, and it's been a pleasant voyage. But this particular morning, Miter comes to you and says, Bosun BokBok, we're expecting landfall today. Just as a word of warning, I know you don't have a lot of experience with the frogfolk. I've been talking to them for a long time. I think it's probably best that you just let me do the talking when we make landfall.
Aye, aye.
You have any questions or anything before we get there?
No, I think I be good.
All right, a man of action. As a man of books and writing, I appreciate that. Anyway, all right, well, make yourself at home. We'll be there in several minutes.
Yeah, and he kind of nods and sits down, starting to kind of, I guess this food has been served, so at this point, am I just in my quarters relaxing until we make landfall?
It's up to you. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference, so yeah, you could do that. It won't be long before you reach there. Like I said, when you were looking out over the landscape, you were, approaching the marshes. So after after 20 to 30 minutes pass, Miter knocks on your quarters door and says, all right, BokBok, it's time. Get what you need. Let's go.
Yeah, I grab my chicken gun and my backpack, or whatever I came onto the ship with, and I head on out.
And as you go above deck and see the gangplank out onto the marshy shore there, standing at the edge to receive you are 3 frogfolk. One in a kind of nice robe. He's a taller frogfolk, kind of a wisdom to his eyes. And then the other 2 are guards. You see them brandishing spears just standing beside. It's maybe a security detail of some kind. But you and Miter looks to you and says, that's the interpreter. The Gripply don't speak common very well. And most of the time they prefer primordial. Do you speak primordial?
Afraid not. I speak undercommon.
All right. Like I said, let me do the talking, but the interpreter speaks common, so we may be able to get away with it. And he starts to head toward the group of frogfolk who are waiting to receive you.
And I follow.
Great. So as you approach these figures, the interpreter regards Miter coolly and says something that you don't recognize in a language you assume must be primordial. There are a couple of words exchanged to them, and at one point the interpreter throws a look to you and says, his throat almost seems to tense up as he speaks these words to you. He says, and sorry, who are you?
Bosun BokBok.
Bosun BokBok, it's nice to meet you. I would tell you my name, but it cannot be pronounced in this horrifying, difficult-to-speak language. If you come with me, I understand you're here about our issue, and we appreciate you arriving. I will bring you to Pond Mother if you follow me.
Thank you, Bosun BokBok says.
All right. So the interpreter leads you toward the trading post. As you approach, you see it's kind of a tower built largely out of, it looks like, crab carapaces. It's built with bricks, but then crab carapaces sort of seem to reinforce the building. All around that building, though, there are all kinds of makeshift shelters. You see various frogfolk of different ages and, builds, eating and sleeping. It looks like almost a disaster area or a refugee area. These don't appear to be permanent structures where these frogfolk are staying. Miter kind of turns to you and says, "They don't usually have that.
Well,
these are new. Something must be wrong. This is not where these frogfolk usually live."
Well, what would drive them here?
I don't know. Something must be up at the village. And the interpreter says, "You realize I understand common, right? Pond Mother's going to tell you what's up. Don't worry." They lead you inside the structure. It's clearly a trading outpost. As you walk in, there are all kinds of wares, mostly giant crab related. Some, it looks like a shield made out of a crab carapace on the wall for sale, as well as, it looks like various parts of the crab that might be for sale. Although the stalls here seem to be cleared out as if they haven't, it just appears to be sparser than it's intended for. There's a lot of empty spaces on shelves and things like that. And as you approach, a much smaller frogfolk in a long, elegant sort of robe, blue with flowers on it, approaches. They have wrinkled skin and a very sort of gentle way of moving. They look at you with big eyes and kind of give you a nod and give a nod to the interpreter. And the interpreter turns to you two and says, "Presenting the Pond Mother!" And he actually does a little bow to her.
I would like to also do a bow.
And Miter Jans follows. He's bowing as well. And as you begin to look up, Pond Mother speaks in a language that is clearly different from Primordial. It's kind of just croaks. But the interpreter listens and turns to you and says, "Pond Mother has allowed me to share the information of our people with you, the trusted adventurers who will hopefully help us out. Several days ago, our village was overrun by serpent folk, Yuan-Ti. They attacked us, and they stole our eggs, and they drove us out of the village. We are not concerned with the village necessarily so much as we need our eggs back. There are several babies to be born in the village, and we worry at what the serpent folk will do with them."
And I'm sorry, you said you know where they're being kept?
The nursery is in our old village. It's some 5 to 10 miles north. We fled down to the trading post, and we've been living here for the last several days, but if we could get the village back, that would be wonderful. But most important is that we need our eggs.
Okay, I think we could come to an accord. I'll tell you what could you offer this trading company in return for securing your eggs?
Make a persuasion check for me really quickly.
I have two. A dirty 20, though, still.
Still good. The interpreter turns to Pond Mother, and they confer in the Gripply language for a moment before he turns back to you and Miter Jans and says, "We can offer you each 200 gold from the coffers of the trading post. And if we can get the village back, we would love to begin engaging with even more trade with Candlekeep. We would be very grateful to you and to Candlekeep. But as it stands, we don't have much. We're on the run."
And Bosun BokBok kind of looks around at all of the frog folk that are scattered around. And he looks back at Kermit and says,
He's not Kermit, okay? It's very difficult for him to make that voice with his gripply vocal cords.
He looks back at him and says, I will help.
And Miter Jans says to you, in addition to the 500 gold we've been offered from Candlekeep, I think this could be very lucrative for us, actually. And my livelihood depends on it as well. So I, too, will happily take Bosun BokBok here to at least save your eggs and clear out your village as best I can. I respect the Gripply very much and appreciate the ongoing relationship that I have with them. He's kind of emboldened by what you've said. And with that, the interpreter says, if you see it done, the Gripply will be very grateful to you for a great deal of time. Our eggs are so important to us. They're the future of the tribe.
And Bosun BokBok kind of shakes his head and says, aye, we'll get you the eggs.
The interpreter turns to Pond Mother and says this in the Gripply language. And Pond Mother, she kind of raises her head to you, and you see she's just got these beautiful, deep eyes. There's an intense wisdom to Pond Mother as you look into her eyes. And she says to you, quietly, thank you.
I look back at her and say, ribbit.
She looks to the interpreter, and the interpreter just shakes his head like, don't worry about it. It's not important.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the best moment for Bosun BokBok.
So with that, the interpreter says, you'll find the village just 10 miles north, if you follow the shoreline. Be careful. The Yuan-Ti have taken up residence there. I don't know if they fortified their position. It could be dangerous.
Aye, but that just be part of the adventure, Bosun BokBok says as he runs out towards the north.
As you run out, and Miter Jans kind of gives a nod to the Gripply and to Pond Mother, and follows you out, he does call, he says, we could just take the boat.
I stop, look back at him, look over at the boat, look kind of toward the road that I'm taking. Wouldn't they be able to see the boat coming from a long distance away? Not very stealthy.
Miter Jans considers this for a second, and he says, yeah, it's your call. I just don't want to walk through this swampland, but you're right. We probably would be more stealthy approaching from the land.
I have an idea. We'll take the boat. How important is this boat to you? Can we ghost ride it into port?
Miter Jans' eyes kind of go wide as he considers it, and he says, this boat is my livelihood. I conduct all of my research from it as well as my trading engagements. I can't really afford to just ram it into
Then
shore.
best we take the marshland, because we're not sure if they would sink it otherwise.
All right. I trust your lead. He kind of shrugs and like indicates his attire. You see, as you're looking at Miter Jans,
are these Gripply, really quick, are these Gripply people, are they seafaring? Can they pilot a ship?
some of them could, absolutely.
Could we...
And we do have the crew on board.
We should set up a time for extraction. We shouldn't take the ship in, but the ship should come to pick us up.
That's
sure.
a smart idea. I can go back to the crew and tell them to set sail some 2 hours time from now.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Excellent call, Bosun BokBok. That's why we hired you. I'll go tell the crew, and then we'll begin our voyage north. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So he returns to the boat while you wait. Some of the Gripply kind of, moving around, kind of fixing their makeshift homes, and also just working various elements of their temporary settlement here, kind of give you interested looks, not quite used to outsiders. But before too long, Miter Jans comes back, and under his arm, he has what looks like a large book. And he says, "I'm so glad I went back to the ship. I almost forgot. The Avowed, who explained the situation to me in the first place, gave me this book. He said that it would be of some use, potentially, in understanding the situation. But when I looked inside," and he pulls it open, and in fact, it's not a book at all. Inside what looked like the book, it's actually some kind of carrying case, and inside are 3 long clay cylinders with various kind of pictographs etched onto them. He says,
"And have you shown this to not Kermit?" I apologize. What's his name?
He actually didn't say his name. He said that his name can't be spoken in common.
Not Kermit.
He says, "I haven't. I perhaps would you like to take some time to talk to him about it?"
I think we should. It may be of relevance to their people.
That's a good idea. Let's just take a look really quickly. And Miter Jans takes the case and leads you back toward the trading post. As you re-enter, not Kermit is still there, but Pond Mother seems to have retired to her chambers or something. She's no longer present. When not Kermit puts his eyes on the book, he says, "How did you come to acquire the Book of Cylinders?"
This guy got it from Candlekeep.
Oh, it makes sense, Miter, that you would have it at Candlekeep. We did trade it to them some time ago. This is a wonderful tome. Have you had an opportunity to look at it?
No.
Here,
we brought it straight to you.
Come, take a look. And as you guys come over, Miter Jans hands the container to not Kermit, who takes them and actually walks over to an area of the trading post where there isn't a floor. Instead, it's just mud. There's a couple of spots within here that are just pools of water and like exposed ground. He brings it over to a place where there's some sand and actually takes the cylinder and rolls it across the sand so that it leaves behind an image. You see 3 images as he takes each of the cylinders and rolls them across this way. One is of several Gripply around a giant crab holding up baskets, and not Kermit says, "The first cylinder talks of the Gripply and how we became prosperous through harvesting the giant crabs nearby to our villages." And then he rolls out a second one, and he says, "The second depicts the serpent folk, tempted by the horned father to attack the Gripply. It's an old story, but it seems rather applicable now that I'm thinking about it. It's not quite the same. You see, we were friendly with the serpent folk. They came to excavate the temple by our old village. And they were peaceful to us, very friendly, and we told them it was absolutely all right. Several weeks passed completely peacefully, but then they returned to the village and attacked. It was completely different from what we had expected."
What kind of temple would it be?
There was no significance to it to us. It was actually largely collapsed. They had wanted to excavate it. It was a sort of archaeological site that they said was of some importance to them. They said the Scaled Mother, one of their deities, had potentially left that temple behind for them specifically, and that there was knowledge important to their culture there.
But what did they find? Do you know?
He kind of looks to the ground and says, "We don't."
Well, something must have made him go mad to attack you.
The third cylinder that he rolls out shows the Gripply and the serpent folk shaking hands. And he says, "The third cylinder promises peace between our people, which we thought was the moral to the story, which was why we were so open to them when they came in the first place."
Aye, and what of the fourth?
There are only 3 cylinders.
Oh.
If I said 4, I was wrong.
And he kind of looks over it. So, the prophecy says it would be ending in peace.
Well, we don't think of this so much as a prophecy. It's more just a myth. It's a children's story. The moral is peace. We don't know that the outcome is meant to be peace.
And Bosun BokBok kind of shakes his head. Anything else you could add to us? By the way, your name in common is not Kermit. If you like to change it, you can.
I appreciate being named. Thank you very much for the name. Not Kermit. I will enjoy that.
If you want it changed, you are your own individual and you are free to do so, but I'm just saying I'll just
call you BokBok. You can call me not Kermit. It'll be great for everyone.
Good. Very good. All right. Well, not Kermit, it's been a pleasure. Tell the pond mother, thank you, and I'm sorry about the ribbit joke. It was off brand. I was just slinging
I don't
off
even
the
know
cuff.
what that means, so it's
yeah,
all right.
Don't worry about it. Don't look it up or anything. It's not good.
He says to you, best of luck to the two of you. We're counting on you, and we're so thankful.
And I to you too. We'll be letting you know when we come back into port with your eggs, hopefully.
And he nods to you, and you make your way out.
Yeah.
Did you leave the Book of Cylinders behind with them, or are you taking it with you?
I imagine we would take it, because maybe I need to show it to the snake people. But
yeah, it's easy enough to carry. It can go right in your pack. So it's not heavy or anything. I mean, it's just a rectangular box with the cylinders in it. So sure, you throw it in your bag just in case you want it later for the Yuan-Ti, the serpent folk. And you set out. Is there anything that you want to plan with Miter while you make your approach? It's a relatively uneventful journey, save for whatever you'd like in there.
The mission, from as we would discuss it, is we're getting in quietly, quickly, extracting the eggs and getting out. We're not trying to get in any kind of confrontations or anything like that. I am interested, however, if things go weird, I need to ascertain what's going on with the temple, because we know that something there must have kind of provoked whatever happened between these two. So definitely saying, look, we're getting in quietly, we're getting the job done, and if we need to default, let's try to get as much information we can before we just start shooting people.
Miter agrees to that. He says, I'm not much of a fighter myself anyway. I try to stick to my books, but I'm trusty with a sword and a bow if the situation calls for it.
And Bosun BokBok kind of puts his gun on his shoulder, and starts walking through the northern forest as stealthily as he can.
Yeah, it's not a forest, it's a marshland. So it's kind of swampy, like, your feet sink every once in a while. You got to avoid sinkholes and things like that. And
real stinky.
There are a lot of bugs you might have to swat out of your way as you go. But all in all, just make a survival check for me.
Survival is actually not that high, but I am proficient in it. Yeah, it's going to be a 7.
So I will say, while you're traveling over this swampland, you do kind of step into a couple of puddles and your boots get soaked through a little bit. It's a mild inconvenience. You don't take any damage, but it's going to give you disadvantage on dexterity saving throws for the next, we'll say, hour.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Just because your feet are wet and it's nasty. But before too long, as you trek northward, you reach an area where you can see ahead of you a river cutting through the swamp. And there are some structures that you start to be able to see. Dotting the swampland are little domed roof structures. with red brick roofs. As you pass through and look through them, you don't see any evidence of movement, at least not in the ones that you pass initially. And if you want, you can just continue straight on toward the river. Miter Jans doesn't seem intent to investigate.
Can I take like a second just to get a vibe check of the general situation? Does it feel like we're walking into a trap
make a
or something?
Perception check as you kind of see what you can see here. Make a perception check.
Perception. Okay, that's a little better. $21.
Yeah, you notice a lot of little details about these homes as you're walking past. They don't appear to have been destroyed, although many of them, based on kind of how, like, entryways have been left open and things which were outside, like even clothes, were left hanging on clotheslines outside the homes. It's apparent to you as you look at this and notice these little details that these, as I said, are homes and they were abandoned hastily.
And this is their village, right? This is the...
as you kind of, I don't know if you suggest that to Miter. He might know.
Yes.
He confirms for you. It's likely, yeah. I haven't been up here. We usually conduct business down at the trading post, but from what I know about the Gripply and their architecture, I think that this must be the outskirts of the village.
Do you know what their nursery looks like?
Let me make a history check for Miter. He rolled pretty well. He says to you, I don't know what it looks like, but what I do know is that it should be near to Pond Mother's home. Pond Mother would have some kind of larger religious center building inside the village, and it's likely that the nursery would be nearby to that. Probably centrally located.
And then I'd like to try and discern where, like, walk around the village and see if I can find something that resembles that sort of a thing.
Yeah, sure. What direction are you going as you search for this thing?
To the center of town.
You're just continuing to walk the way you were going?
Whatever way I feel like is going into the central part of town.
Yeah, it's not too long that you are continuing to walk, and it's kind of, there's a little bit of a hill. As you crest the top of the hill and that river comes more into view, you can see across from the river is a larger domed roof structure that it seems reasonable based on now, as you can see, kind of the houses and different like storage areas dotting the marshland around. This is probably the center of the village, and that's probably Pond Mother's house. As you look off to the right-hand side, a little ways behind Pond Mother's house from where you can see, are several cylindrical brick structures. And next to the entrance to Pond Mother's house, you see two humanoid figures with scales, it looks like, on their face. You would know these... Make a history check for me. But you would assume that these are Yuan Ti. I don't even need you to make the check.
Because you just told me?
Yeah, because I just told you. And they're scaled people here. But... make the history check after all.
11.
Yeah, because of the scales, and you know you're dealing with serpent folk, also because these guys are armed, you imagine these are the folks who assailed the village. But make a perception check for me as you're looking at this fortified area.
Ooh. Perception?
Mm-hmm.
25.
So as you take a look at Pond Mother's house, you see those two guards at the front door, but also looking at the nursery and kind of surveying this situation, you see up here from behind Pond Mother's house, as if sort of patrolling, a very muscular figure with a snake head. human body, snake head, with a giant scimitar, patrolling the area. And there's also another humanoid type guard next to the nursery, sitting against one of those brick structures. So you've got two at the front door.
So, do I see any... this is the nursery, or no?
It's Pond Mother's house, and these structures are in a little, fenced-off pen to the right and behind Pond Mother's house. Based on what Miter told you...
I can assume.
You can assume yes. And Miter says, that's my bet, based on the fortification and the location.
How many entrances to this can I see? Just the one that the people are standing at, or is there maybe...
The one entrance to Pond Mother's house, you could approach the nursery from pretty much any direction. It's like a low fence.
Yeah, I want to. That's my goal. I want to try to have us sneak over to the nursery and hop the fence.
Okay, so you can either go to the left or to the right. Over to the left, it appears that there are docks at the mouth of the river, which leads out to the rest of the sea. To the right, the river kind of starts to bend northward and head up that way. But either way, in order to approach, you're going to have to cross that river. So I don't know where you want to do that or what your plan is for that.
Oh, wait, I guess I misunderstood. There's a river between us and...
Yes, between you and Pond Mother's house is a narrow river.
Oh, okay. There's not really a stealthy way to cross a river unless I do it upstream. So I suppose that's the move. We have to go upstream a little bit so that we're not going to be seen crossing. So as you weigh your options as well, the docks, I should clarify, the docks over at the mouth of the river, there are also bridges over there too. So you could cross by a bridge over by the docks, but it's closer. It may be more visible. You'd be stealthier going upriver, but you'd have to swim through the river. Yeah, I'm gonna swim through the river this time. We'll go down to the docks when it's time to leave. But for this, I think we have to go upstream and try and swim down for stealth purposes.
Sure. Go ahead and make a stealth check for me as you kind of go around up the river. I mean, it's not going to be that hard to stay out of sight. Like I said, this is the stealthier route.
Nat 20 plus 10, 30. 30
Bosun BokBok do be stealthy. He's a rogue, I should remember.
He's a rogue.
You pretty, quick and easy make your way up to that river, up northward. Make a perception check for me as you go upriver.
Perception?
Yeah.
Okay. 12 plus 6, 18.
As you look up the river, just as you kind of get closer to it and you just naturally happen to look up that way, it appears to wend its way north for a little bit, but not very far before it reaches some kind of walled area. You see walls clearly have been built in an area up at the end of the river. But you see that it's not your mission. You're still planning to cross the river at this point?
Yeah. Do I see this temple? Where can I see? Is the temple, can I ascertain, is it somewhere I can see visibly this temple that they had raided?
You don't see around you something that screams temple. The only other structure that you see other than the village is that walled off area upriver a ways.
Okay. We're still going to... I'm still going... We said 2 hours for extraction?
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go just investigate this walled-off section just so I can get some kind of information. Because the last thing I want to do is get these eggs, get to the dock, and then we have to lay low for an hour and a half at the docks.
Totally. Okay, so as you head upriver several feet, several hundred feet a ways upriver, approaching the walled structure, you eventually reach this area. It's tall, red brick walls that look new when compared to the mud brick roofs of the abandoned homes and storage areas in the Gripley village. These look like relatively new walls as you're approaching. And there is an opening pretty central on the wall this side as you approach. Are you just walking up there, or what are you doing?
Oh, no. I'm still being as stealthy as I can. The mission is just to get, recon, ascertain information.
Perfect.
So
as you take a look, as you approach, go ahead and make another stealth check for me, just as you kind of peer. Are you going to this opening, or
15
what is your
10, 25? Yeah, my goal is to get as close to it as possible, but being very leery and very mindful that there might be heavy guards and hosts, especially. This seems to be like something they're guarding and defending, as they've built giant walls around it. So they must have found something pretty good.
Yeah, the orchestral theme music for Bosun BokBok plays as he gets up against this wall and inches his way toward the opening and peeks in. What you can see are, it looks like first of all, this is just a rocky area. It looks like it was it's a little bit, it stands out against the marsh here because it's almost like a rocky courtyard. But you see several pits have been dug into the rock. You actually do see Gripley with chains kind of on their legs and pickaxes picking at these different pits. There's like rubble that they're digging into. Some of them come up and go to another place. It's not very many. You count 4, 5 Gripley moving around in this area. At the far end is a third pit that's dug even wider. Make a perception check for me.
19. 13 plus 6.
As you are looking at this, you do hear this like low tone that seems to kind of it's almost like the ground is rumbling with this sound as you're nearby to this area. But you only see Gripley moving around out here in this courtyard.
Okay, so okay. I would like to try and sneak in. Is there a way that I could sneak in and try and break these Gripley out?
Yeah, you can go into this entryway and just start trying to get them out.
Yeah,
you don't know if that'll.
I thought you said that they were the only ones that I saw in the room right now.
Those are the only ones you see in this courtyard. Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go in and with my thieves' tools, I'm going to come up to them, and hopefully, try and signal to them that I am friendly, and try and use my thieves' tools to break their locks.
Great. So what I need from you, I need you to go ahead and make for me a sleight of hand check to try to pick this lock.
Ooh, pretty good. Gosh, he's rolling good. Sleight of hand's only +4, but that's 17 + 4, 21.
Yeah, as you approach the first Gripley, like I said, there are 5 of them that you can see. As you approach the Gripley, it looks startled for a moment and looks you up and down. But as you kind of indicate that you don't mean harm and go for the shackles,
could I show them the Book of Cylinders?
Yeah, absolutely. You flash them the Book of Cylinders, and they kind of look at it wide-eyed, and their mouth kind of opens up slightly as they let out a little sigh. They look to the others a little bit panicked, though, as you undo their shackles and look to them. They put their finger to their lips as if to say, like, we need to be quiet.
Okay, and Bosun BokBok shakes his head and motions for them to follow him out. And I'm just going to try to point them on through the marshland and say, get back to the back to
Are
safety.
you? Is your plan to free all of these Gripply? Because you only got the one so far.
Wait, I thought. Oh, yeah. I'm sure you said there's like 4 of them, right?
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 of them. I'm just saying, if you're going to spend time being out here,
yes,
I need to know.
Yes, I'm freeing all of them, and I'm getting them all out.
Okay, make a stealth check as you do that.
Well, I have plus 10, 18.
Nice. I rolled a nat 1, so you...
Thank goodness. I mean,
you're nice and quiet. Bosun BokBok just going around. You free all 5 of these Gripply, and they all look to you and look to Miter Jans. You actually see Miter Jans seems to recognize one of them because they go up to Miter and they shake his hand and he says something to them in Primordial before the 2 of you lead them out and point them in the direction of the trading post. Miter actually gives them more information in Primordial before sending them off. And one of the Gripply turns and points at the temple and says, "Be careful."
I look at him and shake my head and say, "Thank you."
And before long, the Gripply take a long, like a sideways path to get away from the village before heading down toward the trading post, and disappearing off. So you are in this courtyard, at this entryway to the courtyard. You know the village is downriver, and something is behind you. As you were going around freeing them, you did see 2 of the pits are just completely blocked off by rubble, but there's still that far pit at the end where the sound seems to be emanating from.
Do I have any reason to believe that the eggs would be in this temple? No, right?
You ask Miter quietly, and he says to you, "They didn't say anything about that, but it's possible."
Yeah, see, this is a pivotal point. So I either am going downriver and trying to see if the eggs are there, and I'm either fail that, they just have to come back up this way. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the original plan, only because, well, 2 hours, you know? It's only been, 30 minutes, maybe? 40 minutes?
Yeah, it took like 30 minutes to walk up here, moving at a brisk pace, and you've probably been dorking around for 15 to 20 minutes, so we'll say that it's been about 50 minutes.
I don't know what's going to happen when I need to go check the eggs. I need to go downriver and see what's going on there with the eggs.
Okay, so you guys begin to approach Pond Mother's house again, this time from the other side, from the back. Right. You do see there is another entrance into the building on the back, but as you approach, it's pretty much the same situation. You don't see those 2 guards who were at the front door, just the one who is kind of actually now looks like they're sleeping next to those cylindrical structures in the fenced-off area. And there's still the big one that's walking around the building as you watch that very strong snake-headed person.
Bosun BokBok wants to time it. So as soon as Big Fella gets just at like the point where he isn't visible anymore, where it's going to be the most time effective before he comes around again, and when that happens, he's going to make a break for it and try and get over the gate. Quietly.
Okay, I think that's easy enough to do, to wait for him to disappear. I mean, you're not going to have that much time.
That's okay. I'm running.
You're running. Okay. So yeah, you make a stealth check to get as close as you possibly can to try this.
Dirty 20.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you guys approach. You lay in wait. You time it out. I need you to make so what's the move here? You're waiting for him to go, and then you're just breaking for the eggs. Are you trying to hide from the one who's asleep next to it, or are you just trying to go?
We're trying to be quiet, but trying to do it swift. Quiet. Once we get to the gate, we need to be quiet because we don't want to awaken that guard, obviously. And then the idea is we're just trying to get the idea of where the eggs are and if there's, how we're going to transport them, like what the next step is, so to speak. but
Okay.
we're just trying to get over the gate.
Got it. Okay. So go ahead and make for me an athletics check to see if you can quickly and quietly jump this gate or jump the fence, get inside this fenced off area.
+5, so 14. Hopefully.
So as you go down the hill and go to jump the fence, your foot, again, it's wet and cold. Your boots are already wet. Your foot kind of sinks a little bit more than you expect, and you try to jump the thing, and you make more noise than you mean to. You kind of clang against this stone fence here. And as you fall over onto the other side with Miter, the Yuan-Ti who was asleep next to the cylindrical structure begins to stir. They kind of look to you, and you see their eyes are bright red, but they're clearly groggy a little bit, like they're just waking up. They're starting to come to, but I'll say you do have a moment to react however you'd like to.
I would just like to try and have both of us disengage if we can and hide, so that even if they wake up, they just...
So you're welcome to try to hide. The only real option is going to be to try to hide behind one of these cylindrical structures. It's not going to be a great hiding place because you're pretty easy to see if they come toward you, but they're just waking up, so it's possible. But it's an option if you want to try that.
Yeah, that's what we're being stealthy first, and if we have to take out this snake person, I guess we will, but we're just trying to
make a stealth check as you try to, or well, actually,
what?
I'm gonna say it's a dexterity saving throw because you have to move quickly. It's not just about being quiet; it's about the reaction time. So make a dex save. You have disadvantage on this.
Oh, disadvantage.
Yeah.
Oh, but still, baby, that's 19. 12 plus 7.
Nice. So yeah, Nice. So you grab Miter and kind of pull him behind the cylindrical structure and kind of crouch down behind it as you hear, what? Huh? What? Huh? And you hear the sound of somebody getting to their feet in the, squishy marsh. And somebody calls out, "Did you hear anything?" To which a lower voice says, "No. Are we good?" And then there's silence. And you hear, "Yeah, I think we're good. I'm going back to sleep." And you and Miter remain quiet behind this structure, and you hear the sound of somebody get back into a comfortable position, and then it's silent again.
Yeah, okay. So I'd like to look around. These cylinders or whatever, like, are these things filled with the eggs? Do I see the eggs anywhere?
As you pop your head up, luckily, well, yeah, you're able to kind of sneakily... There's nothing on the sides of the cylinders, so you'd have to poke your head up and look at the top, but I'll say that you do it successfully because it's fine, and it's fine. So you look, and you can see inside of the cylinder, it looks like a pool of fresh water, really clean, compared to that river and the water nearby to the shoreline. Extremely clean, fresh water, and inside you see these translucent, bluish-green balls.
Is there, like, can I look around for, like, a carrying vessel for them? Like, is there a handy-dandy transport jar or something sitting next to me? Am I just shoving them in my pocket?
As you look,
I mean, protocol?
The best option you have maybe is the Book of Cylinders.
Yeah.
Or your backpack. You don't have, there's no basket or something that.
I'm putting them into the Book of Cylinders because that feels like a good way to smuggle them, because maybe they won't get found there. I mean, how many can I fit in the Book of Cylinders? How many do we need to save? How many are there?
As you look at the eggs in this cylindrical structure, this nursery pod, and you look, there are 5 pods worth. You probably can't fit it all in there.
Dang. I don't see like a little green alien with pokey ears eating any of them, do I?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I I would like, gosh, I mean, are there like different colored ones? Can I ascertain anything from the, like, I just want to make sure that I don't, like, I need to take more than one, but if I grab like 2 females, is the line gonna be destroyed forever or something? You know what I mean? Like,
make an investigation check or a nature check, whichever you prefer.
I think I'm trained in investigation. What's my nature? Yeah, I'll do investigation. That's gonna be a 19.
Okay. Yeah, as you quickly look over what's in here, and again, you're having to kind of pop your head up and back down because that snake-headed guard is circling the area at a sort of not super focused, but, you know, occasionally he'll come into view and you'll have to pop down. But after a little bit of time, you ascertain there's not really a ton of difference between the eggs in this pod. You can't really tell any kind of difference between them.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
But you could potentially fit everything from maybe 1.5 to 2 of these pods into your container. You just couldn't take everything.
How many can I put in my bag? What is like the maximum that we could take?
Well, the thing is, they're being stored in water right now. So if you were going to take them in the state that they're in, you'd have to fill the container entirely with water as well. So that's fine in the Book of Cylinders because it seals.
Okay.
But you'd have to fill your bag with water to put the eggs into the water. Or into the thing.
What about, this is maybe like gonna get real, could get real bad, but what if I had my gun and I filled it with water and stuffed them down the barrel of my gun? How many could I fit?
You could get several dozen of them probably that way. They're small. They're not huge. They're relatively small.
I want to put 2 in the Book of Cylinder. How many can I put in my gun? You said a dozen, a couple dozen?
You could probably get like half of one of these pods into your gun, but you have no idea whether that would damage your gun.
I don't. I'm living for the adventure, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bosun BokBok is, you know, he's rich on his spoils. He's just trying to get the job done. He likes the gun, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have another vessel, and this is the best thing he has. So,
okay. So I'm going to need you to make a sleight of hand check or a stealth check. Now, you're doing if you're going to actually start going to the different pods and swiping up the eggs, it's going to be harder not to be seen by not to stir the person who's asleep.
It's a another nat 20 on stealth plus 10 is 30.
Well, I guess forget what I was saying.
Bosun BokBok is a ninja, man.
Yeah, Bosun BokBok is a ninja. And this. So because you're behind the house, those 2 guards in the front don't have a problem with you. Actually, as you're working, you get lucky. The big guard, it seems, disappears inside the back door and starts to talk to somebody inside of Pond Mother's house, giving you enough time to fill up your gun, fill up the Book of Cylinders. You're actually able to clear out 3 of the 5 pods. You're even better than you thought you were. Filled with eggs.
Cool. Awesome. Good. Love that. Well, I guess I'm going to look at my buddy, the crab merchant, and shake my head and then motion on toward the docks where we can get, where we will potentially be being picked up.
So, yes. Just as you kind of look, first of all, make a stealth check for me to get away from Pond Mother's house to a safe place, either, over by one of the
17.
homes or something.
Oh, thank goodness I have 10. I get when I roll the low numbers on stealth. But hey.
Okay. Rolled a 9. So you still manage to ninja-like, you and Miter Jans, that Homer Simpson's meme, disappear into the swampland. So as you're surveying the area, as you're walking away, you do hear somebody shout, "Shut up!" From inside of Pond Mother's house. You just catch that as you escape. Now you post up with Miter by the houses and look down toward the docks. Now, it appears like you've got a pretty straight shot to the docks if you wanted to go there and wait for the ship to arrive.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do it a little bit more stealthily. I'd like to get into the river and let the river take me down to where the outlet is of the ocean. I would like to find a barrel on the docks to put the eggs in with water so that they are out of my gun and safely inside of a transport vessel that we could take on the boat and transport more directly. Can I do, do you get what I'm saying?
So there's a couple of things you'll have to do. So First you'll have to get to the river, which is easy enough to do. You've gotten away from Pond Mother's house. But what I will need you to do, the river doesn't, as you approach the river, you realize it doesn't run that fast. So you may be floating or swimming past this guarded area for a period of time. How are you negotiating that?
Is it nighttime or daytime? I imagined it was nighttime.
It's daytime.
Oh, I imagined it was nighttime. Okay.
No, we started in the morning. Remember, the sun was coming up.
Okay. I don't know why I had envisioned.
You're just so stealthy that it feels like you've been doing this during the nighttime.
Okay, in that case, I'm just going to try to take the most, the most discreet path possible to get to the docks. And I'd like to try to station myself even under the docks, for, defensive cover, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Okay, but so does this, you're abandoning the river plan?
I'm abandoning the river plan, because I was under the impression it was night, but if it's daytime, I want to probably hug the some level of cover, or stay out of sight the best I can, and then move into the docks, secure a better vessel for the eggs, and tend to it under the docks until transport comes.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So you go north a little ways to the other sort of outskirt of the village. When you approached from the south, there were outskirts, and then up to the north. It's sort of circular in the way that it's laid out. And you're able to kind of hug the outside. Do make a stealth check for me, but we'll say with advantage. You've got Miter Jans, and you're both, trying to stay stealthy.
22.
These UNT can't roll for anything. I rolled a 5. So yeah, Bosun BokBok and his first mate, Miter Jans, the ninja pirates, the music swells as they sneak by and make their way to the docks. When you reach the docks, it's easy enough to find a barrel. There are several there. You dump out the water and the eggs from your gun and from the Book of Cylinder. You're dumping all of them into the barrel?
I'm putting everything in there, and I'm putting, I want to get some fresh water. Oh, I don't want to get seawater in there, because they need the special water from the pond. So I'm going to leave it how it is, with the good water in there.
Excellent. Okay, great. Miter Jan says to you, "Good call. That was pretty scary back there. Do we want to go back for the other eggs?"
Ooh, this be a hard question. Yeah, ooh. How much time do we have, do you think, until the transport arrives?
He looks at the sun and consults. He pulls a small, navigational sundial from his pack, and he looks at the sun and he kind of thinks about it, and he says, "We've got time, but it may not be worth it if you're worried. We've probably got 20 to 30 minutes before they're here. We can just wait. We could even go down."
How many eggs do we have, and how many did we leave again? We took about a third of them.
You took no more than half. So there were 5
Oh, okay.
pods, and you got 3 of the 5.
I'm so sorry to those 2 pods of eggs, but I'm not. We're staying in the defensible position and waiting for transport. Frankly, when transport comes, we have more of a force. If we really felt like we wanted to take the village by force, we'd have an entire crew at our disposal to take the town. But I'm not even suggesting that's the correct call. Are they supposedly just pulling into port? I guess that's the plan. I mean, did we think that was a good idea?
What you told them, was to show up. I mean, you could, What you told them was to show up in 2 hours and just pick you guys up. So you can imagine they're going to just kind of come up, and when they see you,
can we start walking down the shoreline with like tandem carrying the barrel? We can't really do that stealthily, huh? Because I'm just trying to...
It would be difficult to do it stealthily. You'd have to cross the bridge on the docks to get across the river, but you could try it.
No, we're going to stay at this defensible position and just see what happens.
Great. Okay, so you wait for a moment. You haven't taken any damage, right? I was going to say you could take a short rest if you'd like.
No, we're hanging out.
It does. You are waiting for a little bit longer than you had expected, but before too long, you can see on the horizon the full white sails of the Dog's Ear, your friend Miter's ship, begin to appear. And as it does, you hear a horn go off in Pond Mother's house back toward the village.
Ooh, okay. I would like to... Is there a way that we could signal the boat to stop or turn around? Not really, huh?
Miter Jans goes into his pack and says, I have a torch. We could light a torch for a flare or something.
No, that's gonna give away our position. I guess at this point... we just need to start moving toward the boat. So, but now they've seen the boat, they'll see us if we start moving towards it. I really thought this plan was strategic, but now I'm realizing it was not so strategic. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay under the docks and see what happens, because we can't leave our defensible position right now.
You're staying under the docks. You're hiding.
Correct. Yeah, I mean correct. I don't want to be on the top. I don't want to get on the docks. I don't want to do anything. I want to stay hidden right now.
Okay, I mean the boat is approaching the docks. Before too long, it's going to be upon the docks, just going past. And as you stay there, you're watching the boat, and you can see Pond Mother's house, too, from where you're staying.
Do I see activity? Do I see people moving?
You do. You see 4 armed humanoids with various degrees. It's far away, so it's hard to tell, but you do see, like, green and blue flecks, like the scales that you saw on the guard there, but they're being led by that large snake-headed person toward the docks. But it looks like the boat is going to make port on the docks before they get there.
Okay, what I would like to happen is I would like to tell my friend here to take the barrel and sneak it aboard ship, like swim through the water with it to the other side of the ship.
He says, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep it above the water. We're worried about the water getting contaminated, right?
Oh, you're right. Oh, okay. We need to sneak it onto the top of the dock, and I'm going to get onto the dock as if I'm coming up from the ship to go intercept the people. But I want to tell him to come with a detail of I want him to... We're going to take it and go up to the dock and put it on the ship. The barrel, right? This is what I would like to happen. I would like him and I to take the barrel up and put it onto the ship before the snake people get there, if that's possible. Yuan-Ti get there, if that's before it's possible. Then...
Okay, so...
let's do that.
Are you trying to do that sneakily, or you're just trying to go?
No, we're trying
to
do it... I know, I want to do it as incognito as we possibly can.
I guess what I'm saying is, are you prioritizing sneaking, or are you prioritizing being fast?
We're prioritizing being sneaky. In fact, I would almost rather stash it on the dock if I can't get it all the way onto my ship. I just can't I can't have them know that we my plan is to play off as if everybody just is stepping off the boat for the first time right now, and I'm coming to give them the Book of Cylinders.
Okay, they are looking at the dock as they approach, so it's going to be...
Then I would like to keep...
difficult.
I'm going to keep the barrel hidden.
But it's gonna be
I'd like to keep the barrel hidden, so if I have to keep it hidden under the dock for right now, that's fine with me.
Okay, so you're going to go, further. You're going to swim out, basically, to the end of the dock. Because I'm trying to understand how you think you could get up to the dock, get to the boat, and then come off the boat without the serpent folk who are looking at the dock seeing you do it.
Yeah, I guess I had delusions of getting into the water, but I guess that's not possible with the barrel.
You guys could. Without the barrel, the two of you could, but you'd have to leave the barrel under the dock.
I want to tell what's his name, the guy that
Miter.
that someone a semi-familiar face maybe at the very least, or at least anecdotally familiar. I'd like for him to go and offer them the Book of Cylinders, as he heard that they had made some new discoveries and he just wanted to share this book with them, and then he would be on his way. While I stay below deck and try and figure out how I'm going to stealth this barrel onto our boat.
Okay, cool. So you stay with the barrel, and Miter, if he's going to swim out there, he'll be wet when he encounters them, so he's going to have to lie about why he's all wet. But that's the only way he's going to be able to pull this off. So he'll have to make a couple of deception checks.
That's okay.
To see how it goes.
We'll see.
That's all right?
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, that's how it's going to have to be.
So you get to a position where you can watch this go down. I'm going to be transparent about these rolls. The first one, this story about bringing the Book of Cylinders, hearing about the serpent folk, and, I mean, what do you want him to tell them? That he heard of their great conquest, or what?
Well, no, he heard that they were looking for artifacts that might relate to their culture and their people, and he found this book, and he noticed it mentioned what he thought might be the Yuan-Ti, and so he wanted to give it to them.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to give him this deception check at advantage, because that's a good argument. It's going to be DC 14, this one, and I'm going to say Miter has a +1 to his charisma. So we roll with advantage. Good thing, because that's a 3. 5 + 1 is 6.
Gosh darn it, Miter.
He goes to do this, and you see the large Yuan-Ti knock the book down out of his hands as you're watching, and the cylinders kind of roll across the dock. The Yuan-Ti then points a scimitar at Miter and says something to him, and Miter starts to slowly back away.
I think that we would have had a mutual agreement, Miter and I, that if things started getting hairy, that he should load everybody back up on the boat and just leave.
Without you?
Without me, even. Just, the last thing we want to do is provoke an all-out attack.
Okay, so let me see if he can de-escalate the situation. He's going to make a persuasion check to see if he can just get back onto the boat and go. It's going to still be DC 14. He still has +1. He rolls 10. So this Yuan-Ti grabs Miter by his shirt and pulls him forward.
How tall are these docks? Can I put my gun at the floorboards?
You could get under him. Yeah, you could. It's not very high up where you're hiding under. You could get to the floorboards underneath, for sure.
Okay, I would like to do that and have my gun pointed and ready if he does something to... Well, I mean, I guess he's grabbing him, right? Do I feel like this
as you get under, you hear him say, "You're coming with us."
I'm releasing the cannonball from my gun.
Okay, go ahead and make because it'll be a surprise attack. We'll roll initiative after. We'll say that everybody else is surprised for this round. Because I'm not gonna make you roll a stealth check to see if they see you because they're not looking for you. But go ahead and make your attack roll.
Okay. So also, I'm within 5 feet, so generally I would have disadvantage, but as I discussed in the Session 0 video, my character has the feat that makes that not true, and then also, because I am within 5 feet as a swashbuckler, I get my sneak attack no matter what, even though I would get it already anyway, but...
Alright, great. So you get sneak attack.
Nat 20! Nat 20!
Doesn't matter, it's a nat 20, holy crap! Okay, fine, so you get full damage on you. Again, Baxter and I use the house rule that on a crit, you get the full die damage once.
That's
so
3
take your
nat
full
20s
D10 from
this
your crossbow
game.
plus... What?
That's 3 nat 20s this game.
Yeah, holy.
Okay, so I get 1 D10, so plus the modifier?
10.
Or no, I go 10 and then roll another D10 plus the modifier.
Yep.
7, so 21 total damage.
Did you take your sneak
plus
attack?
sneak attack. Oh my god, 4d6.
So you get 24 plus 4d6 damage additional.
Gosh, this character's broken. Okay, that's 5, 6, 3, 2. So 16. 16 plus 24 is 40. Plus 21 is 61 damage. Just 61 damage ripping through the floorboards.
Yeah, so this Yuan-Ti grabs Miter Jans by the shirt. You hear loudly he exclaims, "You're coming with us," as you run to under the floorboards very quickly, sneakily. You stick the chicken gun up to the floorboard, and what does it look like as you kill this thing?
It's going for sure. As it shoots off and it shoots into the unknown, being that it doesn't just kill, it just sends them into another dimensional plane, and leaving behind is a chicken leg.
Miter Jans, well, you can't see it. You shoot this hole, the chicken leg falls through the floor to you, and you catch it. Miter Jans looks down and sees you. You see his face. He says, "We gotta go now." And all of a sudden, you hear boom, 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 as 3 cannons from the dog's ear go off, shooting out toward the Yuan-Ti. Miter Jans reaches his arm down and pulls you up onto the docks. What are you doing?
We need to get the barrel. I start trying to get the hole big enough. Can I fit the barrel through this hole that I've made with my gun? Can we say that's big enough?
But you could get the barrel and just bring it around. I mean, you could go back up onto the dock.
We need to secure the barrel, get it on the ship, and get out of Dodge.
Yeah, and as you do that, you hear the cannons from the dog's ear keep going off. I need you to roll a luck check for me. I'm going to say anything under a 5, something very bad will happen. 5 to 10, something sort of bad will happen. 10 to 15, or 11 to 15, something good will happen. And 16 and up, something great will happen.
13. No, I know modifier. Just the
no modifier. Just a straight up luck
13.
Check. So as you guys get the barrel and come up onto the dock, you see these cannonballs are going off, and those Yuan-Ti guards are going down one by one. There are 4 of them that were approaching, and 3 of them have already gone down as you guys are headed up toward the... Are you just headed toward the boat, or are you going to try to shoot the Yuan-Ti or anything?
Well, I mean, do we have crewmen that are carrying the barrel gently onto the boat, or am I doing it?
No, it's just you and Miter with this barrel. The crew is all aboard the ship firing cannonballs.
How far is it to the ship? Like, how much time will it take to get to the ship? Will the Yuan-Ti that is charging towards us be attacking us before we get it on?
If you don't do anything about the Yuan-Ti, you see they're readying a bow to shoot at you.
I'm going to tell him to keep carrying the barrel, and I'm going to take a shot at the Yuan-Ti if I can. Do we have to roll initiative?
Yeah, roll initiative just to see who shoots first.
I believe as a swashbuckler rogue, I can add my charisma modifier to my initiative roll.
Rakish Audacity, add your charisma modifier to your initiative roll, so you get an additional +2 to initiative.
So I got 15 plus 6 is 21 plus 2 is 22 or 23.
Very good. Okay, the Yuan-Ti got a 20, so you're up.
Okay, I'm taking a shot. Now the blunderbuss can be used up to 100 feet away. Great. But the hit DC is pretty low. I just got hyper lucky with that nat 20. That was so cool. That was a cool D&D moment right there.
Yeah.
Okay. 14. 10 plus
14
4?
is exactly the AC of this creature.
Yeah. Okay, that says 1d10 plus 4 plus sneak attack. So...
Wait, sorry, why are you taking sneak attack?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'd have to be within 5 feet. 1d10. Oh, that's a 10. 10 plus 4. Gosh, man. Bosun BokBok rolling like a champ today. 14 damage.
Yeah, you fire off the chicken gun, and it knocks this Yuan-Ti back. They look very unhappy with that amount of damage that they've taken. They're not looking so good. They fire a bow at you. Does a 16 hit you? It does, yes?
It does. However, I would like to use my uncanny dodge. So whatever damage it does, we'll deal half.
Perfect. Okay, so 5 damage halved, rounded down to 2 damage for you. Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, 2 damage for you.
Okay.
It does fire a second bolt. This one's a 15. That also hits you, right?
Correct, yep.
For 7 damage.
Okay. And return...
at this point, the cannons are going to shoot. So I need that luck check again.
All right. It's a 3.
That's the very bad one.
Yeah, it is.
You hear the cannons go off. 2 of them just completely miss, but the third sails along and collides with Pond Mother's house.
I want to look back and just shake my head at them.
Yeah. But you see Pond Mother's house, there's a big hole in it now. The roof starts to collapse on the building, and actually you see several other Yuan-Ti starting to evacuate the building. But that's back to your turn if you're just running for the boat, or I don't know what
Is the barrel on the ship?
Miter has had some trouble moving it on his own, but he's getting close. I mean, you could completely, disengage from this combat if you'd like to try to get the thing on the boat, but you're gonna get, several arrows shot at you over the course of getting the thing on the boat.
But right now it's just this one Yuan-Ti.
It's just
correct?
one shooting bow and arrow.
I'm taking him out so we can just do this unimpeded.
Okay.
How close is he?
I mean, within 100 feet of you. You shot at them last turn.
I was trying to see if I could get within 5 feet, but probably not is the answer.
No, they're I'm going to say they're 60 to 70 feet away from you.
Okay, no, I'm just going to shoot.
Because they had set up a line on the back while the big guy negotiated.
Okay, cool. 17 to hit.
That'll do it.
Eef, not great. That's 6 damage.
That's enough. They only had... They didn't have very much health left. Go ahead and finish them.
Yeah, so again, just shoots him into another dimension, and a chicken leg remains.
Miter shouts to you, okay, are we going now?
Bosun BokBok looks back, runs, and grabs the barrel and says, "Aye, let's get going."
And he lifts it with you, and you guys hustle to the boat. The cannons have stopped. A crewmate actually welcomes you guys as you get on board and says, "Oh, what did we do? What was that building we shot? We didn't mean to do that."
It was the Pond Mother's house, and I'll be letting them know that it was... What's your name?
No, it wasn't me. It was Carl. And he
Carl.
points at a tiefling at the cannon who's like...
I want to point and say, put Carl in the brig. We must turn him over to the Pond Mother when we get there.
What the heck, guys? What the heck? It was an accident. It was an accident. As the rest
And
of the crew just
you'll see your time, sir, in court. But for now, you must take, responsibility for your actions.
Miter kind of shakes his head as you do this, and he's like, "Wow, I didn't realize you were kind of taking over my boat. This is my crew."
And I look over at him, and I want to say, is it normal for your crew just to be shooting cannons errantly into villages?
He looks at the ground and lets you he starts to, push hoist the gangplank or whatever. I'm not a boat person.
It would be hoisting the mainsail, undoing the rigging.
Yeah, they were already sailing. They only kind of sort of stopped here. And so they're going. I mean, there are no more UNT to deal with except for the ones that seem to be running away from Pond Mother's house looking confused as you guys disembark. Are you just going?
Yeah, I'm sailing back to Pond Mother, man. Baby,
it's a relatively short trip back. Miter just kind of collects himself sitting at the the table in the galley or something. He just kind of takes a moment to himself to collect himself after you blew that guy up in front of him. And before too long, you arrive back to the trading post. You are greeted by not Kermit and his 2 guards, and he says, "You've returned. Were you successful? What did you find?"
I motion for the barrel to be brought up. We got as many of the eggs as we could possibly secure. And we also freed a few of the captives that were there in the temple.
He looks to it and looks at you and says, "Yes, they arrived just moments ago. We just got them inside the trading outpost. We appreciate your heroism. They told us that you were extremely effective." Then he looks to you, and his guards actually take that barrel away of the eggs, and he kind of looks at them with a degree of reverence and peace, and he says, "You didn't get all of them, did you?"
Unfortunately, no. It was only about 3 of the 5, but, the pods. Also, bring up Carl, please, from the brig.
And the crew goes to get Carl. They present him. He's like, "Oh, are you really sure you want to do this? I think it's fine." He's saying,
I need to talk to... It's not for me to decide, Carl. This man, part of our crew, it was by accident, but he shot a cannonball that hit the Pond Mother's old home. I just thought we would turn him over to you for proper adjudication of the issue, so that you all might feel justice about the situation.
He nods solemnly and he says, "Allow me to confer with the Pond Mother. Just give me one moment." And he starts to head toward the trading post building. Before long, as you kind of stand there awkwardly with Carl, and he kind of looks at you nervously, Kermit reemerges. What?
I want to look at Carl and say, "Nothing personal, Carl. I'm not... Look, at the end of the day, if you have a deadly weapon and you use it and you accidentally hurt somebody, you need to pay the consequences for that, okay? I'm just saying. I know it was an accident, but it's real repercussions, okay?"
He nods quietly and just kind of grumbles to himself. Clearly mad at himself for what he did. Not Kermit reemerges from the trading...
It was my role.
Yeah. Not Kermit reemerges from the trading post, followed behind slowly by the Pond Mother. And as the two approach you, Pond Mother kind of takes the lead. She reaches out a hand to you, Bosun BokBok, almost in a, like, underhanded, as if to say, give me your hand, show me your hand.
And I do it. I show her my hand.
She puts her other hand on top of your hand and looks at you in the eye, and all of a sudden, her hands start to glow green, and you feel this wave of energy wash over you, and then you hear the Pond Mother's voice, all of a sudden, crystal clear and intelligible to you. And you realize, as she starts to speak, that you are understanding the language of the Gripply now.
Like entirely, or just because she's touching me?
It's unclear, because she's still touching you, but you are fully understanding it when she says to you, "You have done a great thing for my tribe and my people, and we appreciate you very much. As to your crewmate here, we appreciate your bringing him for our justice. But we lost the village to the serpent folk before we ever met you, before Carl laid eyes on my old home. We will forgive this as thanks for the work you have done."
Thank you. Can I speak the language? Does she understand me?
You find that you can.
Thank you, Pond Mother. We appreciate it. I must ask, how do you all feel about chicken?
The Pond Mother looks to not Kermit, who says, you hear in the Gripply language, "It's a kind of fowl they eat. It's similar to seafood. Crab tastes like chicken sometimes. Fish tastes like chicken sometimes." And Pond Mother kind of nods and says, "I am unfamiliar with chicken, but..."
"I'll have to show you," as he starts walking back towards the town to cook a chicken feast for the Gripply.
Perfect. So you and the crew and the Gripply enjoy a wonderful chicken feast produced by Bosun BokBok, as you enjoy the feeling of knowing that you saved at least some of the eggs from the serpent folk. You are, as you do, brought your reward, your 200 gold. Miter Jans is pleased. The Pond Mother gives you also a shell that she says will be commendation to demonstrate that you have saved the eggs and are due your reward. Also, because you cleared out the Yuan Ti there, they will attempt to reestablish the crab situation.
Cool.
And that's where we will end it, I suppose. You have a wonderful chicken feast, and the Gripply resolve to attempt to return to their village as soon as they're able.
Right on. Wow, what a fun adventure. Thanks so much for running it, bro.
Thank you for playing, and thank you for watching. If you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. We hope you had fun.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested at all in what we do here, we would love for you to subscribe and join the Start Adventuring family. And if you want to go that extra mile, we also have a Patreon, the information for which can be found in that bottom right-hand box, as well as a link in the description box below.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this adventure. We've talked about all of them, and what we liked and didn't like, and what we learned over on the Patreon, and we'll be releasing our 3 lessons video based on this session next Wednesday.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that, guys. We had a great time running this adventure, but I think that does us for now. I'm Baxter.
And I'm Ben. And remember, start adventuring.
Just start adventuring.